forget that pre-roll.
Yeah, just I will. Today's episode of Thunderheads is brought to you by Wellness Perspective. Wellness Perspective makes it easier for you to live healthfully. They're also making it easier for us to do this podcast. So go check them out at mywellnessperspective.com to learn more.
You're listening to Thunderheads, a podcast for Thunder fans by Thunder fans.
Welcome to Thunderheads. We're wrapping up the week today. If you're tuning in on YouTube Live, we're psyched to have you. I'm Brandon Soul, joined by the Thunder Tie himself. It is Mr. Justin Wright.
And the Statue of Liberty started shaking her fist.
Oh.
I never know, man.
I think you got me on
And
this
even
one.
when I do know, someone jumps in and beats me. So it's like, why do I even try?
Yeah, you shouldn't try. Oh, sorry.
It's
Very competitive about these.
Oklahoma's own Toby Keith.
Oh, yeah, I wasn't.
Brought to you courtesy of the red, white, and blue. Take that, Canada!
So,
Woo, I get
that's
it.
appropriate for today.
Yeah.
I get it.
I get it too. Also, do you purpose, obviously you do that on purpose, you match your, whatever we call your random little, what do you call them?
My
Your
intro
references. Yeah, and you match it with your t-shirt.
Well, I mean, today I did. Yeah,
Sometimes.
it felt so appropriate because the USA is 1-0 against Canada in basketball today.
That's right, and
Feels
2-0 on the season.
Boom. Well, nah, that one. I mean, the Raptors have won 50 games.
Yeah, it's still 2-0 against Canada on the season.
Well, the Oklahoma City is,
Yes.
but not the U.S. I'm saying the USA.
Oh,
Gotcha.
USA is 1-0 today.
Well, the
I
Thunder.
see where you
America.
went.
We're a Thunder podcast, so we're not a USA NBA podcast.
We're Team
be a-
USA
It'd be
podcast?
weird to be an NBA podcast, but only for the USA.
We just exclude the one team.
No one team.
No, we don't talk about them.
This man's the dark and stormy Jason Lewis.
Yes, sir.
Today, we're going to break down the Thunder's monster week. I mean, a monster week.
Yeah.
Russ is heating up. The swing games remaining on the Thunder's schedule. And Billy Donovan's newfound rotations. But first, your disaster of the week. We got to give a shout out to listener at Drinking Tea on Twitter. He tipped us off on this one. We very much encourage you guys to send us any disasters of the week that you may have, you find, you come across on the internet. Shoot them our way. We're very likely to use them because
Had we not already sent him a shirt, we would have sent him a shirt.
true.
But we already have.
Very good point. Plus, he's overseas.
Yeah.
So, yeah, send them in, and we'll probably use them. Here we go. If you think you're having a bad day, just wait until you read this, which I'm going to read it. You're going to hear it.
I'm not reading.
Konstantin Relyu, 63 years old, had the shock of his life when he was told that he was, in actual fact, dead.
Wait, what now?
Stand by.
Stand by.
His wife had registered his death in 2016 after he didn't return to Romania from Turkey, where he had worked as a chef for more than 20 years. He has since been living in a legalistic nightmare of trying to prove to authorities that he is alive. He faced a major setback on Thursday when a court in the northeastern city of Vaslui, I don't know how
We
to say it,
definitely.
refused to overturn his death certificate because his request was filed too late.
Oh, red tape, son.
You got to meet that deadline on the death certificate overturning. Come on.
no.
You got to.
Oh, what a bummer.
It's his fault. The decision. You got something to say?
This is much like the Paul George 3 from earlier today. They didn't review it in time, so they
Yes.
couldn't review it.
That is very good. That's a very good point.
Couldn't bring him back
story
to
is
life in
perfect.
time, so he's dead.
Paul George can relate to this man.
Sorry about you.
And the Thunder fans, the fan base as a whole, can relate to this man. The decision, the court said, is final.
Oh, God.
Relyu said, I am a living ghost. I am officially dead, although I am alive. Yep. I have no income because I am listed as dead. I can't do anything. Relyu also spoke of his rage and a desire for revenge against his wife, who now lives in Italy. He said, I am not sure whether I am divorced or not. I am not sure whether she is married to someone else or not. Nobody will tell me.
Whoa. Hold on.
Okay.
He could. I'm not saying he should do this, but he could. You said he wanted revenge. He could kill his wife.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
And he can't go to prison because he's dead.
Ooh, that's a good point.
You can do whatever you want, man. You're free.
You need to start looting.
He's free.
Just robbing everyone.
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't do it. I'm dead.
You got to use it to your advantage if it's going
Yeah,
to be
he
like
needs to
this.
stop being down on himself, thinking he can't do anything. He needs to do everything.
So do we get to a point where like he does something and is accused of identity theft, stealing
his
the
own
identity of himself, his dead self?
Whoa.
Can you steal the identity of a dead person?
Yeah, absolutely. You could like put them back on the books. I mean, especially in the Cold War, like people took dead people. Like the Russians would take dead people and make like sleeper cell spies.
Well, people do that for voting fraud all the time.
Yeah.
It was in the movie Black Sheep with Tommy Boy.
This is crazy. This is a crazy thing this guy's having to deal with. Like, how do you even...
I think you just gotta live. You gotta use it to your advantage. I think.
You explained that he first went to work in Turkey in 1992 and returned in 1995 to the first big shock of his marriage, which was his wife had cheated on him.
Oh no.
It's been rough for this guy. In 1999, he decided to return to Turkey for good. Last December, Turkish authorities detained him over expired papers and deported him to Romania in January. Upon landing in Bucharest airport, he was informed by border officials that he had been officially declared dead and underwent 6 hours of questioning and tests.
Jesus.
They measured the distance between his eyes to see if it corresponded to an old passport photograph. They asked him questions about his hometown, such as where the town hall was, and they checked his fingerprints. But authorities in his hometown of Barlad were less convinced. He spent weeks trying to persuade them to issue him papers so that he officially existed. It's weird
This
to
is
say.
absurd.
I'm trying to officially exist when you
I'm
physically
right
exist.
Here. I'm right here.
Like, is it?
I think we've gotten to an absurd point in humanity's existence where it's like, hey, guys, I'm here.
Yeah.
Nope, you're not.
Well, it says here.
It's according to our paperwork
You're
that
not.
you're dead. So
Yeah, and common sense.
don't like
We
that.
don't care about that anymore. It's much like officiating. Wow. Wow. Where
Brought
am I
it
at
back.
here? Rel, you said he would like to file a fresh lawsuit but has no money and suffers from diabetes, which he can't. How can you suffer from diabetes when you're dead? Which makes everything more difficult. He also said that he's been banned for life from returning to Turkey, but would like to write to Turkish President Erdogan to appeal.
Turns out that guy's a son of a bitch, though. You're screwed, bud.
There it is.
Maybe old Ennis can help him out.
That's one of the ugliest disasters of the week ever.
Yeah, that's rough.
He's just got to get the hell out of there and seek asylum somewhere, like where he can just be like, "Hey, this is what happened," and someone will listen to him and take his case or something. Not if I just get out of there and start a new life in another country because it's not getting any better for him right there.
He's a perfect like secret agent type situation though. Like
They need to make a movie about
Secret
this guy.
agent man.
Yeah.
What, or maybe he should just embrace this.
that's what I think he should
Move
do.
forward. Be like, I'm a ghost, dude. Check it. Check all the records.
Yeah.
I'm not here.
Won't find me.
I'm the first existing actual ghost. You have physical evidence. You can take a picture of me. I show up in the photos. No orb. I don't mess
$5.
around with an orb.
I can't necessarily go through walls or whatever, but
All right, let's get some Thunderball. What do you say?
let's do that.
No Rob this week, which means no rundown, but I'll quickly run through these games that we're recapping this week, which we've already talked about 2 of them, and I'll kind of quickly graze over these. Thunder on a 6-game win streak, which we know.
Very nice.
4-0 this week. Took care of the Kings in a game on Monday that was kind of ugly, to say the least. It was one of those games that you kind of felt like no matter what, the Thunder were going to win, but it was like, could you just do it a little better, please? Then second night of a back-to-back, you fly to Atlanta. Lose an hour a couple days before from daylight savings time. Tough spot. Atlanta's young team. They're trying to play. They got 10-day guys on contract trying to prove themselves.
Bunch of G League fellas.
Bunch of G League guys trying to make their mark in the league. They played a really good first half. Thunder take care of business. Second half, they win by 12. Now let's get to the good stuff. On Friday night, Jason's birthday. Had a nice little party for Jason's birthday.
It was a good time.
30 years old, so happy birthday to you, Jason.
Thank you, sir.
Thunder took care of business against the Clippers, who are fighting for playoff position. So a really important game here where the Thunder are 2-0 against the Clippers this year. Clippers kind of, they played pretty well for the most part.
Right.
Adams was dominant. Took care of DeAndre. I mean, DeAndre Jordan had 21 rebounds, but he's almost like a vacuum when it comes to rebounds.
Yeah.
He's just I'm pretty sure he leads the NBA in rebounds. Steven Adams just did such a good job closing out that game defensively. Russell Westbrook, again, he's 7 for 17 from the field, so didn't shoot great, but once again had just such a firm grasp on that game, closing it out. Just great stuff.
It's like ever since we talked about, like he had that really bad game. I can't even remember which one it was, but he had a really bad game, like the last loss or whatever. I guess it was Rockets game where he just didn't look in control.
Right.
And ever since then, we had complained about, it doesn't like Russ he's having good stats during games, but we've all talked about that before where it doesn't necessarily matter.
Right.
And he didn't look in control. Ever since then, he's been just taking over and really orchestrating the games.
Absolutely. And in this Clippers game, I mean, Justin, we were actually watching it together, and you made a point how it just felt like the Clippers kept making a little push, but the Thunder just kind of withstood it and would make a run and expand that lead to about 10, 12. And
yeah, I think it was probably, we were halfway through the third quarter, and I kind of looked up. I was like, it just felt like one of those games where the Thunder would always kind of keep the Clippers at arm's length.
Yep.
I mean, the Clippers are a good team.
Yeah,
Can't take away anything about who they are or what they're doing right now, but the Thunder are just better right now. They're playing better basketball. They're they've got more of a team concept than the Clippers do. So it worked out in that perfect way. Just keep them at arm's length, and it worked out. One
of Corey Brewer's best games in the past. Obviously, he's been spectacular with the Thunder. We've talked a ton about it. But
season high.
22 points on 7 for 12, 6 big steals, a steal to seal the game where he walks up the court.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Pumping up the crowd. Crowd goes wild. I think we had a question when he was first signed, the odds of him becoming a fan favorite in Oklahoma City. Wow. Has he?
Yeah.
I mean, they just love how this guy plays. He runs the court. He can keep up with Russ.
Hustles, does the dirty work.
Another big game that was had in that game was Ferguson, guy that we've kind of been hard on here a little bit lately. Hard on Billy Donovan for playing. He played 17 minutes, 12 big points, 4 for 6 from the field, 2 for 4 from 3, 3 steals. Just solid game from old Fergie Bear.
Yeah. It's weird. Like he'll have, which I think, I mean, he's a rookie, so I expect him to have good games here and there. But I mean, it's a thing he's not able to sustain. It seems like at this point. But I mean, he did look really good. So.
What is going on with LA teams and Terrence Ferguson?
He loves playing at Staples.
It's a really good point.
He was bad against the Lakers those other 2 times, but that first time, man,
he lit it up.
And this was a game that kind of concluded the Thunder's bench, maybe 5-6 game streak of just really playing out of their minds. The best streak they've played all season long. Everyone on the bench is a plus in the plus-minus department in that Clippers game. On to Toronto today.
Woo!
Kind of a tough spot for the Thunder. Toronto, easily the number 1 seed, 5-game lead over Boston in the East. Best home record in the entire league. It's a noon game, Oklahoma City time, 1 o'clock game in Toronto. You just get in there late last night.
They got there at 8 last night.
Toronto's used to playing these games. They play these games all the time. It's kind of like their thing.
Yeah.
Thunder, man, impressive. Come out of the gates offensively, both teams just back and forth, start to finish. This game
super entertaining game.
It's one of those games normally when the Thunder aren't stopping anybody. You're like, come on, but this was like so back and forth. It was really fun to watch actually. But it's kind of funny that it was like that because it's such a tough position for the Thunder. They need wins right now.
Yeah, you're kind of
it always seems like in those games like the bottom eventually drops out. Like this offense, like if usually it's the third quarter too, that everything drops out for them. They start missing a bunch of shots, and then the other team kind of ends up running away. Houston did it to us the last time we played them. This game they somehow kept the foot on the gas pedal.
The Thunder are showing some resiliency here lately. They had a great first quarter where the starters went 17 for 18 from the field, which is one of those things, like you were saying, Jason. It's like it's not sustainable.
Right.
Or maybe you were saying that, Justin. It's just not. It doesn't seem sustainable to be able to do something like that. Bench comes in. Toronto. It's been noted. It's been very highly covered that they have the best bench in the entire NBA this season long. That was on display in this first half where their bench against the Thunder's bench. I mean, just a complete overmatch.
Crazy.
Which, the Thunder bench, like I said, they've been playing well lately. But Toronto's bench, man, they're really good. And they just kind of, the beginning of that second quarter, they expanded the lead, I want to say to like 10.
Yeah.
And that's when it started to get worrisome because you see how great the starters played in that first quarter. And you're like, well, now you fall behind. They can't possibly play that great again.
Right, yeah, that's the concern. Like, we've seen that all year where the bench will come in and sometimes they'll have, PG or someone with them and they just lose the momentum all of a sudden for the team.
Yeah.
And then it's like, well, that's gone.
I know. On the road, too.
Can they get that back? I don't. And Toronto's crowd was really into the game at points today, which was a blast. Yeah,
obviously. Against a good team, right?
Yeah.
Best home record in the league. Best record in the East. They're going to be going for every win they can possibly have. Plus, the Thunder have owned Toronto.
Yeah.
I have the stat right here. 6 wins in a row, obviously, like I said earlier. Thunder have a good win against the hungry Clippers team. Won 5 of 6 games of their last 6 games in Toronto.
Right.
I put a tweet out there earlier. That Toronto's home court is basically Oklahoma City's home court at this point.
I like it.
It ended Toronto's 11-game winning streak. Toronto had the best home record in the NBA, and now the Thunder have a 2-game lead over the 5 seed with 10 games to play.
Super.
What a successful week, right?
Yeah.
I mean, because we have these Thunder have the hardest remaining schedule, and when you get a win like this is one of those wins we've talked about.
Yeah.
You got to get some of these. You go to Boston on Tuesday, but it feels good if you get one of those games, and the Thunder got one of those games.
Yeah, because, I mean, if you were looking at them both, you'd probably say, yeah, they're going to drop one of those, most likely. And Boston's pretty banged up right now. So winning this one, I think, is more important. Like, first, you get this win, and then now you go into a banged-up Boston. Like, maybe you take that confidence with you. Like, hey, we just did pretty well, guys. And they're starting, I don't know, it just feels like they're, like, gelling a little bit more. And, I mean, Corey Brewer, ever since he started, we have not lost a game.
Correct.
And if it makes you feel any better, Boston's actually better on the road than they are at home.
Really?
Ooh.
Yeah, they're 23-13 at home, 24-9 on the road.
I don't know if this is still current, but I know they had lost 2 in a row at home last week. They've been a little banged up lately.
Yeah.
But like we said, the bench was really struggling today. Not a good game from Raymond Felton. Just not his best game. Patrick Patterson, not a good game at all. Got dunked on real hard by CJ Miles.
He sure did.
But the way Steven Adams started this game, 14 points in that first quarter. Looked like he might go for 30 today. Ends up with 25. Had 24 in the first half.
Yeah, he
Is
was
that right?
nuts.
I thought
right?
it was 18.
And
Was
he
it
got
18?
kicked in the nuts
Okay,
also.
I was off. But he was 10 for 13 from the got kicked in the nuts by former Thunder.
Need, I guess.
Need in the nuts. I mean, I was thinking about that. That
don't
obviously
know.
that hurts like crazy. But depending on like where it hit, like did it hit directly on the testicle?
I don't know. Well, Cage was saying it seemed like he got a Charlie horse from it, but I don't know. I mean,
that you don't get a Charlie horse in your testicles.
No, he was saying it looked like it hit it on the thigh a little
No.
bit, but I don't think it did.
Square in the.
I'm not sure. Well, he was on the bike after that, and that's not why. If I get taken out of the game and I just got hit in the twig and berries, the last thing I want to do is be on a stationary bike for 5 minutes before
Yeah.
I go back in the game.
Very
Yeah.
true.
Now, I mean, granted, you got to keep your legs like fresh and moving and stuff.
Get
but
the
yeah,
blood
I just
flowing a
want
little
to.
bit.
I just want to be hunched over on the end of the bench, just like in the fetal position,
For
like,
a bit.
Oh man, that hurts.
Oh man, especially just like a giant knee coming flying at
Yeah,
you.
full speed.
I mean, at what point does Adams start like? It's like in baseball. If you're a young kid and you get hit by a pitch a lot, and eventually you
start
might
to
get
put a
scared
pad
of the
there?
ball, or you're like a little scared, and you're like, I don't really want to do this
Yeah.
anymore.
Maybe he should just start
Is
moving
he-
his leg up.
Is he gonna go Carmelo and just start moving out of the way? And
Yeah, he just lets people fly by him.
speaking of Melo, I wanted to bring up this thing that I kind of want to start doing: the not so obvious player of the week.
Ooh,
Now, the obvious player of the week is Russell Westbrook, right?
super good.
He's been fantastic. After his first 7 games after the All-Star break were less than fantastic. He's been more than fantastic. But Carmelo Anthony is my not-so-obvious player of the week this week. 31.7 minutes per game, which is down from his season, kind of what he's been doing. He's been hovering around that 33-34 mark. It's nice to see it come down just a hair. 16.5 points on 12.5 shots. That's what I'm talking about,
Yeah.
Melo. That's what I'm
Awesome.
talking about. Because he's not even getting to the line still, but if you're getting 16.5 points on 12.5 shots, it's really good efficiency, especially when you're not getting to the line. 46% from the field, 55.2% from 3, 1.3 blocks. Put it on display today.
Well, in that Clippers game, he kind of had a down game. Like,
Yeah.
was 2 for 7 from 3.
You're exactly right.
Kind of didn't look great. So if you take that game out of there, it's an even better week for Melo, I think. Like, so
Great point. He made one of the biggest plays of the game today.
Yeah.
At the end of the
Awesome.
game. Yeah, where it basically came up with the final steal or block, whatever they consider that. I
Yeah,
guess it was a steal.
it's kind of like just smack the ball.
Yeah, steal. Yeah.
He's got good hands, you know, like that.
One thing I've noticed too recently is that ever since Brewer has been starting, it seems like Melo's been passing the ball more willingly. I don't know if like kind of that trust issue that Russ has kind of had with those bench guys, but it just seems like ever since Brewer's been, maybe it's just because he's moving and there's a guy that's actually
Right.
like bodies are moving, so there's somewhere to pass.
It's almost like, I guess when you think of offense and, 5 guys on the court, it's like a machine, right? All parts affect one another. When you have a guy like Brewer that is cutting, and he's going to force everyone else to cut. If he's cutting to an area that you're in, you're going to have to move. You're going to have to go set a screen. You're going to have
Right.
to, it's going to keep, it's one big moving part, and kind of Brewers really helped that out a lot. And I think just having a guy like Melo that's been in the league for so long, a guy like Paul George that's been in the league for so long, a guy like Russ has been in the league for so long, and even a guy like Adams that has had a bunch of experience for his age. Just having a guy like that changes the kind of dynamic of this team off the tip.
Agreed.
Well, so when Corey Brewer first got here, he was a minus 34 in those 2 games that he wasn't the starter. Since then, plus 26, plus 3, minus 3, plus 26. He's a plus 52 as a starter.
Wow.
Cumulative.
Impressive.
That's pretty awesome. All right, guys, let's take a minute to introduce our new sponsor, Wellness Perspective.
Yep.
Wellness Perspective is a local company right here in Oklahoma City, and what they do is pretty simple. They make living healthy not so damn expensive.
That's right. And we're really excited to have a sponsor, and this is, I think, through the end of the season, and we're really pumped to just have them on board. They came to us, so it was really cool just to have. And here's how it works. Sign up at Wellness Perspective for the low price of $7.97 a month. So cheap, right? That's like, I don't even know what to compare it to because inflation and everything.
Yeah.
And with that membership, you'll be able to save money and get discounts at numerous gyms around Oklahoma City, such as Anytime Fitness, 4-Star Fitness, and countless other gyms.
Oh, and it's not just gyms. You'll save money on cryotherapy, which is awesome.
Always doing that.
All the NBA players are doing it, so you might as well jump in on it. Float spas, which
I
I've
actually
heard
love those places.
Those
so
are
I'm
cool.
excited.
Kyle Singler loves float spas, and he
Ooh.
credits like a lot of his mindset and stuff to that.
I like it. Massages and even coffee. Everyone loves coffee, right?
That's pretty crazy that you can just get this for $7.97 a month, and you can go get discounted coffee.
Yeah, absolutely. And their partners are continuously growing. So now is the time to jump on board.
And the best part is everyone that signs up using Thunderheads as their referral, we get a 10% referral commission.
Trying to stack it.
Yeah,
Yep.
so help us keep the lights on and help Rob feed his kids.
Rob has so many kids.
Just a bunch of
Just
children
so
running
many
around.
kids. So here's the deal. Go to mywellnessperspective.com. That's mywellnessperspective.com. Check out all they have to offer. If you like what you see, go ahead and sign up right then and there. Tell them Thunderhead sent you. That's us. And everybody wins.
Do yourself a favor and help out our sponsor at mywellnessperspective.com. Wellness Perspective, making it easier for you to live healthy.
Absolutely.
Indeed.
So back to Melo. Over the 6-game win streak, 48.7% from 3. 6.5 of his 11.3 shots per game are from 3. So he's shooting over half of his shots from 3.
Perfect.
Is that okay? So that's what I want to bring out. Is that perfect? Is that what we want to see from him?
I believe so.
Because it's what Donovan talked about, right? At the kind of
Yeah, I mean, it keeps him from taking. I mean, if you're keeping him from taking those long contested twos, like because he's a great mid-range shooter.
he's gonna get one in a game.
Yeah, he needs. I mean, I'm fine with him taking those from time to time when he takes the right ones, right?
With 2 seconds on the shot clock.
Yeah, and
Right.
4 people.
Yeah.
In his face. No, those are the ones you want to avoid. Is when he's got people all over him. So if he can get open, or his trailing threes, I think are huge for this team.
Definitely.
That's like my favorite play with
Today
him.
you saw in
Yeah.
Toronto where there was a quick turnover. Russ threw it ahead to Melo. No rebounders or anything. He just pulls up. Boom. That's
Awesome.
something this team hasn't had in the past.
Yeah, that's really nice.
That's huge.
So I think a big thing with Melo is, kind of comparing what last year's team was to this year. And so you had Sabonis, and he was kind of another big man. So you got Sabonis and Adams in the kind of the same area trying to do the same things. Sabonis was trying to become a stretch 4, but it wasn't really working. Everything got clogged up in the paint. Russ had a hard time really expanding some areas. Vic didn't do that well. So now you've got Carmelo, who's he's essentially a stretch 4 because he's really a 3 that's just too slow to play the 3 in today's NBA.
Yeah.
So you've gotten to the point where he's just kind of spreading the floor really well. He'll do his, just I'm going to back you down and turn around and shoot this in your face. But him shooting that 3 and spacing the floor so much where Adams is really the only guy that's down there, it opens everything up for this team so much. And I think that's why you see the stark difference between how this team played last year, where it was just all Russ and then a few other guys would show up, and whereas it's more of a collective effort and Russ is just still superhuman.
And that makes sense why, there's really no excuses to say, well, it's taken this team this long to get figured out, like to figure things out or
Right.
whatever. We're 72 games in. That's not valid. But it does make sense why it might take some time. Because the dynamic of this team, just as you said, is so different than it's ever been. Russell Westbrook has never played with a team like this. Now, you can maybe say, well, Serge Ibaka stretch it out a little bit. Not like this.
Yeah.
Not like this. He was still an interior guy that set a lot of screens. Melo, not much of a screen setter. You can tell he's not even comfortable setting screens.
He slips them real
He
fast.
slips them really quick.
Every time.
The only reason he sets a screen is to get a mismatch on the
Fastest
post.
screen
yeah.
slipper in the West.
That's it.
And it's great. And you look at, today, something I noticed is anytime Serge was doing the natural thing and guarding Carmelo Anthony, is that, one, you pulled a premier shot blocker way away from the rim. There's no way Carmelo is getting anywhere. And it's what teams did to us when we had Serge. You put a stretch 4 out there, and Ibaka has to be way the hell out there.
Yep.
He's not going to be able to get to the backside and block that shot. So that opens things up, and especially for Russ, who Serge knows Russ well enough to know how to block his shots. But if he's 25 feet away, he's not blocking that
and
shot.
So that's why in the fourth quarter, Russ is just all day.
That was impressive,
Man, that was beautiful to watch.
I mean, Russ is just, to me, that was his best game of the season.
It was
today.
So good.
That stat line today is one that hasn't been achieved since Wilt Chamberlain in 1968.
Hey, he's pretty good.
By the way, that was the only time it was ever achieved.
That's crazy.
And the reason is, like, it's not the 34, 14, and 13. That's not the stat. I mean, obviously, that is the stat line, but it's the fact that he shot 68% from the field. 15 for 22. That's what no one else has done except for Wilt Chamberlain. So how good are the Thunder when Russ, obviously he's not going to shoot 68% every single game, but how good are the Thunder when he is the guy he's been over this win streak? Because I'll give you some numbers real quick. 25 points per game over this win streak, 10.8 rebounds per game, 11.2 assists, 4.0 turnovers a game. So that's 11.2 assists to 4 turnovers a game ratio. That's not bad.
Do you have his 3-point attempts? Because I feel like they're...
I do. Getting there. 0.7 steals per game, which, is that less gambling? Is he gambling less? I don't know.
Might be.
Feels like it.
Speculation right there, but he's shooting 55.1% from the field, 1 3-point attempt per game. What about that one today?
Attaboy,
And
Russ.
by the way, he's shooting 50% from them. That one today after a CJ Miles big corner three. But that was one of those, if he misses it, you're like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
and he
Which is most Russ made threes. Or the,
yeah.
Oh,
no.
okay.
Yes. So how good is this team when he what? Because obviously Paul George has been struggling, right? Mm-hmm. But Russ has been playing this good and they're winning. Imagine if Paul George plays how we expect Paul George to play.
Oh, good God. They would be basically unstoppable if they were both going at the same time.
And
Melo's playing like this. Adams is just a monster right now. And then you've got a fifth guy in Brewer who gets you something.
Can produce.
Like you actually get something on both ends from him, which we haven't ever had before.
I think we've seen what the end product is when you get this kind of perfect storm of, and especially when Russell Westbrook is leading the charge. You just beat the best team in the East today. Mm-hmm. You've beaten Golden State. When
Not
this
only
has
that,
happened.
just to add to that, but a top 5 defensive team in the NBA, and you put up 132 points on it.
You smoked them.
Yep.
You've beaten the Cavs doing this. You've beaten the Warriors doing this. You've beaten the Rockets doing this. The end product of if everyone is clicking on all cylinders and Russell Westbrook is leading the charge, carrying that flag into battle every time, the end product is this is a team that can do something in the playoffs, that can be really dangerous. Now, to get sustainability for a 7-game series, who knows? But at the end of the day, like that is what you can. Like that's the not penultimate, but that's the ultimate thing of what this team can be.
Right, and I guess that's kind of the question is like, well, can they do this like for a sustained period of time, or is it just?
But what is this? Is this what we're seeing right now? The 6-game winning streak? What we're seeing? Because we're not seeing Paul George at near his best.
Yeah, I think it can get better than this, but I think
So
at least right now, even though Paul George is struggling to shoot, I think he's still being aggressive. He's still helping.
Passing
he's
the ball well.
Great defensively. His steals are down a little bit, I think.
Here's for fun. I'll give you his stats throughout this win streak. 17.7 points a game on 39.3% shooting, 34.2% from 3, 5.8 rebounds, 4.3 assists. Not bad. He's making some plays, but 3 turnovers a game.
How many passes to the other team's chest has he been making this last week?
Approximately 3, I think, according to my stats, and 1.3 steals per game. So yeah, he's not been his best.
Yeah.
Now, is there any sort of concern that when Melo's playing effective basketball like he is for the Thunder right now, and Russ is playing his absolute best, and Adams is playing good, that it's almost impossible for PG to be as effective as he can be, and vice versa? If PG's playing his best ball, is it make it impossible for Melo to be as effective as we're seeing him right now?
It could be. We haven't seen it really all work together at all, right?
Maybe a couple times.
There's been a couple games where it's like, ooh, damn, that's the thing. But
But 3 of 4 is not bad.
Yeah, if you can get 3 or 4 to work every game, you're gonna have success.
Who's the least impactful one when they're not good? When they're not as good as we expect them to be? You know what I mean? Who makes the least impact, the negative impact on the team when they're not at their best?
Offensively,
yeah. offensively.
I mean, right now we have evidence to say that it might be Paul George.
It might be Paul George.
But obviously you don't want to take away any of his defense because he builds a lot of his game on that end of the floor.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think you can live with Paul George not shooting quite as well when you've got Melo, especially if he's truly committed to this 3-point spot up role, and you've got Russell Westbrook doing Russell Westbrook things and Steven Adams doing Steven Adams things. Then yeah,
those
I think
things
Paul George,
go hand in hand. By the
Yeah.
way,
Oh,
Yeah, they
absolutely.
very much do. And I mean, on that point, like if you take Melo's offense away from him, what the hell is he doing on the team?
Mm-hmm.
If you take PG's offense away from him, he's still an amazing defender, and it's really not that bad.
and he still adds things defensively, or I mean offensively, because he can
Right.
handle the ball. He's still going to stretch out the defense.
Yeah.
Because you got to pay attention. Even if he's 1 for 10, you still got to pay attention to him.
And like I said earlier, right now he's being aggressive, and that's what you want to keep seeing is him, continuing to get to the rim, continuing to try to put pressure on people, even if it's not always resulting in points.
One thing I wanted to bring up, I don't know if you guys know this, Russ is no longer whining to the officials.
Yeah, it's been nice.
Did he say something? I want to say that he said something to someone, like in a post-game interview or something to the media, but I might just be making this up in my head. But I feel like he said something like, "I'm not going to whine anymore." It was
That would be
similar to
awesome.
like what he did last year when he said, "I'm done with the technicals" or whatever.
Yeah.
He's not whining anymore.
Well, I noticed he gave BD said he gave a stink eye to Melo today when he got his tech.
He did.
He kind of like
Well, that was a
shot him
retarded.
off. It was really dumb.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pardon my language, but that was a retarded technical foul.
Yeah.
But I just thought that's interesting, and it's a good thing. I like it because it's going. If Russ can keep that to himself, it's gonna keep his mood stable,
Yeah.
and he's not gonna lose it.
Maybe that'll rub off on Paul George, and he'll stop throwing his hands up every single time he gets.
Perhaps.
So I think one thing is that maybe Russell was able to look at some film from recent games and go back to that Rockets game, go back to the Warriors game, especially most recently the Clippers game. I would imagine, and today especially, and just kind of looking at all of those players and the way they react and the way that now look the refs have been bad.
So
but
bad.
the way they're treating the refs and just all of this, I think maybe it just struck a chord with Russ. Like, man, that's a bad look.
Yeah.
I really shouldn't do that.
Yeah,
And it's not helping.
yeah,
Like,
it's definitely
no.
not helping. And
Even
maybe
if they're terrible at making the calls, like you complaining, it's not like they're gonna be like, "Oh, you're right.
Or
Right.
I'm gonna change my mind."
hell, even Paul George.
Yeah.
Well, look at the amount of foul calls that I feel like Paul George has gotten when he's been driving has completely diminished, and the way he's reacted to the referees has just it's been a little ridiculous, a little over the top.
Yeah.
Maybe he's seeing that too and be like, I got to set this example. I got to make sure that my guys don't react to the referees that way, so we do get the calls when we actually deserve them.
and that's what we ask of Russ. He's the leader of this team.
Exactly.
Set that example.
And I mean, with Paul George, it always seems to me that he'll start out having a real good game, and then he'll get fouled, and they don't call it, or he'll foul, or they'll call a foul on him, and then all of a sudden he starts his complaining thing, and then his body language just instantly is like, ugh, he's just droopy and stuff. And
Yeah, and honestly, if you're like Russ and you don't complain to the officials as he's not doing right now, I should say, it can only be good, right?
yeah, there's no way that could be negative.
Yeah, maybe they're like, I like this guy. He's not giving me a hard time. Now, like you said, Justin, officiating has just been awful this year. There's a reason so many people are complaining about it,
Yeah.
and it's not just Thunder fans. It's the other team's fans
all of
too.
them.
It's the other team's coaches. How many tirades have there been post game from coaches, from players?
There's like a massive amount of ejections this year.
There's no
crazy.
Yeah, there's no consistency. I mean,
Within a single game.
yeah, exactly.
Like the Kyle Lowry thing today.
Mm-hmm.
So he got fouled, then pulled up for a 3 afterwards. They called it a continuation, and it was a 3-point,
By the way,
3 free throws.
that's a thing. That was a point of emphasis entering the season to try to eliminate players from seeking out the foul from beyond 3-point.
Right. And then earlier in the game, Paul George does the exact same thing, only he goes up faster while getting fouled.
Yeah.
Doesn't get the call. And it's just like, if you're going to call something that way, then stick with it the whole rest of the
Doesn't
game.
make sense.
Like, I'm fine even if they change it from game to game a little bit.
And
but-
it feels like they're not. It feels like the officials aren't taking any responsibility for this. Like the L2M report doesn't take responsibility. Now I understand the transparency that it tries to offer,
Yeah.
but it doesn't. It's like no officials are coming out and saying we got to be better here. We got to be better here, right?
Yeah.
You've seen players. You've seen now Russ. he's probably telling himself, I got to be better here. I got to stop complaining to the officials. I need to be better. Like Justin's saying, it's a bad look. I need to be better. Officials need to do the same thing. I need to be better and call that call consistently.
Which I actually listened to a low post. Did you listen to the one with Monty McCutcheon?
Did not.
So it was pretty good, actually.
I don't listen to Russ.
But he was talking about how they've actually been, the thing where they're going around to all 30 teams and they're having a meeting with them. Like they're sitting down with all the players and like ref crews and stuff like that. And just talking about grievances, and like he was talking about how players will bring up like specific instances and be like, "Hey, why did this happen?" And so, I mean, from what he was saying, it sounds like they're trying to take accountability.
I hope
and
so.
he was talking about how like if they're like what they're trying to hit is perfection, like they're never going to do that.
Definitely not.
And that's not like no one needs to expect perfection. It's just consistency. I think is what people are missing this year.
It's an incredibly hard game to officiate, no doubt about it, right? But what's hard about it mostly is those bang plays, the charge blocks, the plays at the rim where it's hard to see if there was contact or if there wasn't. Like you're gonna miss some of those, okay, but some of those, like the 3-point thing, that's not hard to miss, man. When you can see it from television, you got to be able to get that angle as an official. I'm done. Like Mello. I'm done with them, man. I'm done talking about them.
I will say real quick. I want to say not about the refs.
I guess Jason's not done.
I'm not done.
Oh, you're not done?
No, I was just gonna say. I think this team's turnaround, I'm going to attribute to our friend Justin here. He went on his rant after that Rockets game. He got fired up.
That's right.
He got fired up.
They listened.
And they listened, and they've turned around ever since then. So good job.
Perfect segue. What is your confidence in this team right now? Back to that whole confidence scale. Let's go 1 to 10. Are you starting to believe that this team can actually be special? Or is it a little too soon to say that because, they just beat one good, maybe you could say 2 good teams if you want to consider the Clippers a good team. But in the 6-game win streak, 2 good teams out of 6 teams.
I'm going to probably be around a 6. Like, I don't necessarily think this team is going to do it all in this playoffs this year. It's their first year together. I would be delighted to see that happen. I had like a daydream the other day where we somehow like meet up with the Rockets somewhere in the playoffs and just take it to them and get to the finals, and it's amazing, and it was a good dream.
Good. It sounds like
I
a great
very
dream.
much enjoyed it. But I'm with all that said, like it is their first year together, so I don't expect them to make the finals this year.
And
I don't think
it's not
anybody really
realistic
did
to right now.
I would like them to see them make the Western Conference Finals. That's going to be a difficult task for them. That's going to be really hard. It's nice to start seeing them, like we've talked about, to see them start putting away these bad teams, to close out close games like today. It was just back and forth all game, and they held with it. They maintained during the crowd explosion after that dunk on Pat today.
And Russ did Russ things.
Yeah.
Continues to be clutch, man.
If Russ continues to play like that, I don't see anybody beating them. But
I don't know if there's anything. Obviously, I loved Russ down the stretch, taking the ball to the rim and finishing at the rim on Ibaka, on other guys. Yeah. That was beautiful. But I don't know if there's anything I love more than, Thunder up 2, 15 seconds left, and they have the ball, but there's not much time on the shot clock, so the other team's going to get the ball back. So you either need to score, or you really need to score to put the game away. And Russ pulls up for a jumper and knocks it down.
Yeah.
Window.
It's delicious.
Love it. It's so good. And he did, right off the window today. So let's go into the schedule. You got 10 games left. Thunder up 2 games on the 5 seed. Toughest remaining schedule in the entire NBA. You got at Boston, Miami at home, Portland at home, at Spurs, Denver at home, at New Orleans, Golden State at home, at Houston, at Miami, and Memphis to close things out, which is a nice little breather before the playoffs, having Memphis come to your place.
Thanks, guys.
But what are some games that stick out here that could maybe go either way, that could really make the difference as far as the Thunder getting home court advantage?
I guess so.
I'll give you a chance to pull it up if you need to pull it.
No, I needed to. One thing that really sticks out to me is it's really, so we play the 1 seed in the East and then turn around and play the 2 seed in the East. And then we got a few games interspersed in there, and then we've got Houston and Golden State, not on back-to-back nights, but in back-to-back games.
Yep, 3 days off between those games, by the way.
What the hell's going on? Like, I know obviously the schedule comes out so early you can't tell, but man, that sucks to get those kind of bunched in there.
The one thing the Thunder do have going for them is they have less games remaining than any other team in the league.
Right.
They have less losses than any other team behind them. For a while you'd be in 4th place, but you might have one more loss than the team in 5th or 6th.
Yeah.
Now the Thunder have actually caught up. Teams have started losing games. Portland's played 3 less games than them. and those games have been on the road. So Portland has 3 more road games left more than the Thunder. 3 games more
Right.
road. I can't say words. But that's a good thing, right? If Portland loses it, they're obviously hot right now, but if they lose it and they drop 3 straight road games, boom,
Yeah,
you're right
you're
there.
right there.
You're right there.
Yeah.
So I mean, obviously, like the first thing that jumps out at you is the Heat games. Yeah, that should be winnable. Both those should be winnable games. So those jump out. You've got that big one with the Trailblazers. If you're going to catch them,
Got to win that game, right?
You absolutely have to
That's
win that.
You can't get swept 4-0 by the Trailblazers. And man, the Blazers give Thunder serious problems.
I really do.
And then you look. I mean, the Spurs, if they don't have Kawhi, they're beatable. And then the Warriors and Rockets, there's a good chance that they're resting people at that point. So
That's true.
And the Warriors aren't healthy right now.
It's kind of take
Yep.
advantage of every single game on here. I'm not going to say it's a must win because it's not, but you're going to have a really good chance to win because of either circumstances that you're going into the game or you're just playing good enough basketball that you should be able to beat these good teams. So I think it's a really good look at. It's a tough schedule, but it's a good outlook.
Yeah.
I mean, and they're going to have more rest than other teams right now. So that's like the positive side of the schedule. And then obviously the teams are playing. It's like, ugh.
Denver. The NBA did a really. I don't know if it's like this with everyone's schedule, but they did a pretty good job for the Thunder schedule, at least for us and the Thunder, spreading things out. You look at some of the breaks they get. They play at Boston on Tuesday, but then they don't play again until Friday at home.
Right.
And then you play Portland on Sunday. Then you don't play till Thursday. You get 3 full days off before you have to go to San Antonio.
And you do have a back-to-back right there.
Do have a back-to-back. And then you go to or Golden State comes to town April 3rd. You get 3 days off till you play Houston, or you have to go to Houston. So it's kind of cool. They do have benefits there. But I think you're right. That Denver game sticks out to me, though. You got to win that game. Denver's been really bad on the road, and they also give the Thunder trouble. It's just what record do you think they have to have over these next 10 to get to stay? Let's just say stay locked into that 4 seed.
I want to say like 6-4
You think
probably
6-4
would be
does it?
fine.
I think so too.
I mean, because
You got the tiebreaker over Utah.
right? And these other teams, they're dropping games here and there. Hopefully, they continue to do so today.
Hopefully
I didn't
Jimmy
really
Butler
check.
needs
I
a
didn't
little
check
more
into
time.
any of those, like the Pelicans game and everything that happened. But I mean, hopefully they can.
Pelicans beat the Celtics. By the
Well,
way.
shit.
Houston's
Ruins
up-
my point.
Houston is currently up 5 with 4 minutes to go against Minnesota.
Let's go,
good.
Houston. I feel dirty saying
I
that.
know.
but-
So, I mean, another point here that I'd like to bring up because we've talked about time zones, and I'm kind of a nerd, so I'd like this kind of stuff. So,
Love time zones.
obviously, they're in the Eastern time zone right now. They're on EDT, Eastern Daylight Time. They'll play in Boston on Tuesday. Then they come back on Friday. Well, obviously, they'll be back before Friday, but from Friday, the 23rd of March, until they play the Heat on the road, April 9th, all those games are in the Central time zone.
That's nice.
That is nice. Kind of stay within your
'Cause,
region.
this year they have been like having to zoom between time zones.
Well, and so your road games are at the Spurs in Texas, at the Pelicans, Louisiana's not that far anyways, at the Rockets, back in Texas. So like you're not even going that far, period.
Yeah, that'll be nice.
I like it.
I think like as hard as it is, the schedule's pretty well laid out for the Thunder as far as stay focused. I really like what Russ had to say after the game today to Leslie McCusker. If
Agreed.
anyone missed
Yeah.
that,
Oh, that was awesome.
she asked basically her question was, "You look like a man on a mission out there," and he said, "I am a man on a mission." Right now, you got to kind of turn things up. It's an important time of the season. You got to kind of get it going, stay focused. And I love that he said that because we've been asking them to treat it like this for
Right.
3 months
And
now.
now they're kind of seeming to actually put that into practice. Which, talking about practice,
Yep. What time are we at right now?
43.
Okay, let's talk about the Donovan's rotations real quick before we move on, because we talked about the bench that's been really good up until today. The last 5 games before Toronto, so this doesn't include Toronto's numbers because that would skew these numbers too bad, and I wouldn't be able to present them with any sort of positivity. The bench, last 5 before the Toronto game, 110.4 offensive rating, which is 7th among all benches in the NBA along that span. 96.6 defensive rating, 3rd in the NBA. Plus 13.8 net rating, 3rd in the NBA. It's the best we've seen out of the bench all season long, the best streak. Is Donovan onto something with these new rotations? You're seeing a little less Eustace. You're seeing Ferguson and Abrinas play together, which this has been a debate amongst us. Should Abrinas play over Ferguson? It seems like either or, where it seems like Donovan said, no, both, no
Yeah.
Eustace.
Right. And I mean, it seems to be working all right, them both playing together. I mean, Ferguson isn't having incredible, he had a great game against the Clippers for him, but he hasn't been really doing much of anything in his other minutes, but he's not such a liability at the moment. Mm-hmm. And he can at least provide you something offensively. Like, Eustace gets in the game, his defense is solid, right? Mm-hmm. But I feel like he just lacks so much offensively.
So bad on offense.
Like, it's just, I don't understand what he's giving you at that point. And Ferguson can give you that defense while giving you the opportunity to have offense.
Yeah, he can be like a little spark here and there.
So I think with Ferguson and Abrinas, you get this weird like analog of the bench to the starters. So you've got Raymond Felton, which he's kind of like Russ, but not really like Russ at all at the same time. Ferguson is so much like Corey Brewer, except just younger.
Yeah.
And then Abrinas, kind of that PG, like when PG was hitting shots, because Abrinas has been playing really well. You've got Patrick Patterson as kind of your Carmelo analog, and then Jeremy Grant as like a super athletic but really small Steven Adams. So it almost works. It's like they work the same way, just obviously the bench is the bench version.
It's true. I mean, you brought up Alex Abrinas, and 7 minutes against Toronto today, but he goes 2 for 2, both threes. He looks so confident when he's getting in the game in such little minutes. Doesn't play until the fourth quarter.
It's so weird. Like, we talked about that today. How does that feel? Like, you don't play the whole game, and then all of a sudden it's like, fourth quarter, bud.
And
your
honestly,
time to shine.
maybe the only reason he played is because Paul George had 5 fouls.
Yeah.
That
he might not
be
have
the
seen
only
the floor tonight.
That might be the only reason. Then you look at Jeremy Grant, only 15 minutes tonight, wasn't playing his best ball, but his numbers look okay.
Yeah.
9 points, 3 for 5 from the field.
Got fouled several times.
Gets to the line.
He
Always gets to the line. Man, he's a guy that has been so important to this team. Will continue to be.
It's weird to me that like the bench is playing its best right now, and Raymond Felton isn't playing his best right now.
Yeah.
It's just strange because all season he carried this bench. Like, he was the bright light on the bench
First half of the season,
and you're like, no one else can do anything. And then all of a sudden they're like starting to click, and he's really not doing as much. I mean, scoring wise, he's still facilitating and doing some okay things, but
sometimes he just doesn't seem to see the game as well as he does in other games. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just say Carmelo had more assists than Raymond Felton did today.
Yeah.
Well, Thunder shot the ball really well, especially that starting lineup.
Oh, yeah.
So, and they were moving the ball all right. All right, before we move to this new game, which looks like on our outline, I totally spelled something wrong, which is super ironically funny. I want to drop this Corey Brewer stat real quick. Prior to the Toronto game, he led the NBA in points per touch over the last 5 games, which are the games that he's started this season for the Thunder. Points per touch, 0.592 points per touch for Corey Brewer. Leads the NBA over that span, which is a massive lead.
That's crazy.
And who's fifth on the list? Alex Abrinas.
Ooh. That is interesting.
That's all we got. That's interesting, Brandon. Don't know how to expound upon that.
That is interesting.
All right.
That's beautiful.
Let's move on.
We got a new game.
Thunder grammar.
It's called Thunder Grammar. Misspelled grammar on the outline. Spelled it Grammer.
No.
I'm a jackass. I spelled it in all caps, so like the squiggly underline didn't catch it.
That is my favorite.
All right, so here's the game. It's called Thunder Grammar. It's like Nelly's Country Grammar, but Thunder Grammar. And by that I mean it's nothing.
It's
like
nothing like that.
This game
still.
is essentially fill in the blank. So I'm gonna hit you guys with a fill in the blank question.
Oh damn it! Hold on a second. You keep going.
Okay, I'm gonna hit you guys with a question, and you're gonna fill in the blank for me. Simple enough, right?
Perfect.
This first one, I'm gonna need an adjective from you guys. In retrospect,
I hope I didn't fuck up these.
whoever wants to go first. In retrospect, the signing and emergence of Corey Brewer makes the Thunder's trade deadline look blank.
Successful.
All right.
It actually turned out all right.
Yeah.
We thought it was funny because after didn't do anything on the trade deadline, and you're like, what the hell happened? Like, are we not doing anything?
Yeah.
And then it like took us a while to get a guy on the buyout situation. Maybe they knew something was
There was
up.
a huge concern for a
and
while.
we were just like, are we just gonna have a roster spot open? Are you gonna go get that someone?
Tony Allen?
Yeah. Who doesn't work? His legs don't work.
Has yet to be signed.
But then Corey Brewer comes along, and as soon as he gets put in the starting lineup, incredible.
Yeah.
It's been awesome.
So basically what you're saying is the Thunder didn't have to give up anyone at the trade deadline.
Right.
And, then it looked like...
Because that was a concern for us when we were talking about, okay, well, what are the trades that are possible here? Damn, they're going to have to give up another 2-for-1 situation? Like, that's not... Like, we keep losing role players.
Yep.
And it's not like we just keep losing depth. So this way they didn't have to do that.
They
That's
added
nice.
depth without losing anything. What do you got here?
I'm going to go with palatable, and this is more from a perspective of like the
Of a
fans
Debbie
wanted
Downer.
something so much that it's just Corey Brewer makes it like, okay, you know what? It's not as bad as I thought it was originally.
Feels like that fulfillment, satisfaction that the fans were needing. I like that. All right, this next one, going to need another adjective. Not re-signing, another Corey Brewer question, by the way. Not re-signing Corey Brewer next season would be blank.
Lamentable.
What,
Ooh,
I totally know what that means.
I like that.
It's just very
Make you
unfortunate.
lament.
It brings misery.
I knew this game would be good for Justin.
Yeah.
He's
I had to
gonna,
step up my thesaurus game today, but
He's
I
going
didn't
to
do a very
improve
good
my
job.
vocab. Anyways, sorry to cut you
But
off.
yeah, it brings misery. It's miserable. It's not one of those things where like that's gonna break that. Like if Corey Brewer doesn't come back next season, like well, shit, we're not going to the NBA Finals
Right.
now. But it's one thing that because of what you've seen,
Mm-hmm.
it's inspiring that he could be a great piece on this team next year. But at the same time, Andre Robertson's back on that team next year,
Mm-hmm.
and if you've got to keep one, you're taking Andre 10
Sure.
out of 10 times.
Definitely.
I said ludicrous.
Wait, like the rapper?
Yeah, Luda.
Move.
Basically, he's going to be super cheap. He fits in perfect. It would be awesome to have Dre. Either, I would assume you would have Dre starting still, but maybe things change. Probably not.
Doubt it.
But to have Corey Brewer off the bench would be so awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
And there's a bit of an insurance there, right?
yeah, right, exactly. And he's just going to be super cheap. We need to save money. Bring him
True.
on the vet minimum.
One of those veterans.
So you mentioned this, and it kind of made me like really pause and think for a minute. You said Corey Brewer off the bench would be great.
Mm-hmm.
He was a minus 34 the two times.
that's
Two
true.
games.
Two games.
That's
so
true.
it's just
That's true.
I'm not saying that it wouldn't work next year. I'm just saying it's an
But
interesting thought to have.
I would think in that instance, you maybe could play him more with the starter guys.
Even with Robertson.
Like, yeah, you could do that.
Imagine some like
Ooh.
if Paul George were to stay, imagine a lineup that featured Russ, Robertson, Brewer, Paul George, and Jeremy Grant. Oh my God.
That'd be-
You better run the fast break.
Exactly.
That's all they would be doing.
Woo. But here's a little follow-up question to that. It's not a fill in the blank, but is Brewer, this is something that crossed my mind over this past 6-game winning streak, is Corey Brewer the perfect role player alongside Russell Westbrook?
I mean, he kind of fits perfectly in there.
I know I've said it a lot, but
He's got the energy.
he's got the energy. He looks like he might be as fast as Russell Westbrook.
I've never seen someone outrun Russell
Yeah.
Westbrook down the floor ever.
Even when Russ has the ball.
Yeah.
But like Corey Brewer keeps up with him, outruns the guy defending him on the break.
Yeah.
Breaks behind him, and it's huge. That's something Russ appreciates. Russ
Yeah.
loves
Oh,
those little
absolutely.
bounce passes that he can lead you
And
to
he
the
just
rim.
seems to have great chemistry with Russ, like finding the spots where, I mean, he can just cut under the basket really quick. He did that in the Clippers game. We talked about it. Like, he just scrambled to the basket real quick, caught the pass,
Right.
put it up.
That's why Corey Brewer on the fast break looks so broken with Paul George, because he's used to having Russ,
Yeah.
and Russ outruns everyone. But like Corey Brewer outruns Paul George, so it's like he has to slow down, makes terrible passes, just all bad.
He's got to
He
throw it
needs
backwards.
Russ.
Yeah, you don't want to throw it backwards. All right, next. I'm gonna need a noun here, guys. This is a good one too. Tough one. The
Person, place, or thing.
The best realistically ideal playoff matchup for OKC is, and when I say realistically ideal, I mean you can't just say the Lakers are going to magically make it. You know what I mean?
It's a
Is
proper
blank.
noun.
Dog.
Proper noun.
No.
Dog?
I was just,
Just-
if I just Mad Libbed it,
Airbud team.
Airbud. I actually went with the Jazz. So the Jazz are playing really good basketball right now. So that would be concerning. They've got Rudy Gobert and Donovan Mitchell, which are both concerning players. However, I don't think they're going to be able to put it together against this Thunder team. I think Adams can kind of take care of Gobert. PG can lock up Donovan. Be all right.
It's an interesting choice.
So since I can't go with the Memphis Grizzlies, I am,
Damn, that would be a nice matchup.
I'm going with the Los Angeles Clippers.
All right.
I just thought, well, one,
You're
like
going to have to do some work to get up there, though.
They're most effective. I think they could.
It's
I think
possible.
they could play good
Anything's
enough basketball
possible
to
at the
get up
moment.
there, and especially if we get that 3 seed and them at the 6, that's not. But just because Steven Adams automatically takes away DeAndre Jordan, So you're relying on guys like Austin Rivers to do a bunch for you. I think in a playoff series, 7 games, I think Doc Rivers has really lost an edge as a
Harris,
coach. Yeah, like okay,
and Bradley's kind of out.
So Tobias Harris goes off for 34 and he limited everyone to 10. Oh well, okay, you won by 20.
Right.
Let's go to game 2.
Lou Williams. I mean, he's one of those guys over a 7-game series. It's hard for Lou Williams as your best scorer to.
He's gonna miss a ton of shots.
Yeah, and you're gonna be able to really game plan for him. You're not gonna have to focus on, like you have in the past, James Harden instead of Lou Williams, and Lou Williams will be able to go off on you.
Right.
I wouldn't consider. I don't know if I consider the Clippers as realistically ideal.
I was kind of looking at the couple teams right around us, like Portland, New Orleans. Which New Orleans I kind of flirted with.
New Orleans, they would be my pick.
My only problem there is like, I mean, I guess
what if AD
Davis is
off?
just going to get you a couple games, but maybe
It's one guy,
but
though.
he could. But yeah, I mean,
It's one guy.
there's a huge chance that he doesn't make it through the whole series.
Perimeter, it's hard to imagine their perimeter could keep up with the Thunder's.
Right.
Who's the scariest one? Let's fill in that blank real quick.
Portland
scares me right now.
Do you think
just
that
like the way we match up against them doesn't?
it's
seem
scary
to
how
work
good
well.
their defense has been, and CJ and Dame just can go off. But you would think like, you have 2 guards like that, smaller, undersized guard. You'd think you'd be able to figure out how to exploit them over a 7-game series. But there's been no evidence of that.
My fear, I think, with Portland is that Dame is incredible in big moments too.
That's true.
Like he's just worries the hell out of me.
Top
when you get in a
5
close
clutch
game with
player.
him, I mean, you got Russ, which is a top 1 clutch player to me. But still, I mean, you gotta get worried about that.
Hey, if you can play the game that you played today in Portland, or not in Portland, against Toronto, or in Toronto against Portland,
Yes.
then that
you're fine.
makes you feel a lot better. The way that DeMar DeRozan and Kyle Lowry were, I mean, they had good games, but you kind of kept them
nothing
in check
special.
enough to make sure that you won.
I thought they did a
feel
really
good.
good job on DeMar.
And
Oh,
she
yeah,
made them
absolutely.
all melt down and leave the damn court. They all got ejected.
I feel like we didn't talk about that,
No,
but
we
that was
did.
one of the most amazing meltdowns that I've ever seen in an NBA game at all.
It was.
What was that
Dwayne
tweet you
Casey
had
gets
today?
tossed.
That they were acting like they were in the playoffs.
Yeah, they
Melting
melted down like
the
they were in the playoffs. Perfect.
All right, next. Got another adjective here. Carmelo Anthony should be Wait, let me start over. Carmelo Anthony shooting more than half of his field goal attempts from beyond the 3-point line is blank for the Thunder.
I went with peerless. It is the pinnacle, the best thing that could possibly happen for Oklahoma City. I think that role, when he truly commits to it, and you space the floor out so much, you give Steven Adams those opportunities. Russ has free reign in the paint. That's by far the best thing, and obviously he's hitting them.
Yeah,
Right.
that
definitely
helps.
That makes a huge difference.
Because, a couple weeks ago when he wasn't hitting them, we talked about does he need to get down on the block more?
All right. Yeah. I said splendid for the Thunder. Basically, he said the reasonings.
Perfect.
That's all you need.
Plus, we talked about it earlier. Next, we need a verb here. Our first verb. The Warriors' recent injury issues. Steph out for a little bit with an ankle injury. Clay, did something to his thumb. Was it like a fractured
his
thumb. KD's got something wrong with his ribs or
Well,
whatever snakes have.
He's just scared of playing without the other 2, I think. So
Draymond
his
Green's
ribs hurt.
Snakes have ribs. Well, I need to get that out because I've seen it too much on Twitter. Snakes do have ribs.
Draymond Green's been a little in and out. I think he's had some shoulder issues. So that the Warriors' recent injury issues should blank Thunder fans.
Assuage.
What are these words you're
That's
saying?
French.
It's like
That's totally French.
it's comforted.
Okay.
Oh, okay. I just said interest, but I want to make it slightly interest. It's not that big of a deal. They're going to be fine. They're probably going to
It's hard
destroy
to follow a word like assuage.
Yeah, I'm glad I just put interest and didn't put a lot of work into that one because I would have been upset.
How do you spell assuage?
ASS.
UAGE?
UAGE.
Wait, what is it? Say it again.
ASS.
UAGE.
UAGE.
Ass you age.
So with that being said, with their injury issues, is that at this point, which I think we have a Twitter question about this, so I don't want to spoil it, but I am going to. Would you rather see Golden State in the second round than you would the Houston? Let's save it for the
Let's save it for that. Yeah, let's
teaser.
save it for that. I got to think about that.
All right, last. Proper noun. The most important player to the Thunder obtaining home court advantage in the playoffs will be blank.
Russell Westbrook.
That's an obvious choice.
Yes, it's super obvious. However,
So do you
his
just
play
mean-
recently,
So you just mean if he plays at the level he's been playing at, that does it?
we're done. Yeah, we're shooting. I think we're stuck at the 4, and that's perfect.
So I was wondering if, I asked this question based on like maybe you think about it and say, well, I expect Russell Westbrook to be good, so maybe that player is actually this guy or whatever.
I mean, I also have Russell Westbrook
Okay.
just because I think, so you could say Steven Adams, because I think his importance is unquestionable and probably super undervalued. At the same time, is that you have to have good Russ to have really good Steven Adams.
That's very true.
Russ really raises the bar for Steven Adams, and I think he raises the bar for Carmelo. I think he raises the bar for some of the bench guys. So I think it truly is Russell Westbrook.
I almost went Paul George because of the thing we were talking about earlier. You know, like, okay, say Russ continues to play this well, Melo continues to play this well. If you can get PG into that also, like into that group of just playing extremely
Right.
well, then
Tough
who's
to
stopping
beat.
them?
Yeah.
Like,
How are you gonna beat him?
can't
That's a good point.
do it.
You guys want to do some Twitter questions?
Let's do some Twitter questions.
All right, from T at Drinking Tea. How do you feel about OKC fans pulling together and investing in a vibranium cup for Adams?
Good idea.
Yeah, unless it slows him down. Will it weigh him down?
I think vibranium's pretty light
Is it?
in the comic book universe.
I don't know anything about
can't remember
this
what.
vibranium. Does it
Yeah.
vibrate?
It sounds like it does, right?
Sounds like it vibrates. If so, I'm gonna need one.
It's a Black Panther suit. This has some of that in there.
Yeah, definitely. Let's start a
Get
GoFundMe
in
right
there.
now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It can't be that expensive, right?
Nah,
Nah, probably
Sounds
not.
super cheap.
we'll just set it out. What? I don't know. 9,500.
So, something like, yeah.
We got to meet the goal, though.
Well, the thing is, like, do we want to custom fit it? Like, that's an awkward job.
We'll just guess.
Big.
Tiny company's like, this is very painful.
It's been kicked in the berries so much. It
Yeah.
might. Or they might be super swollen. Who knows? From Dakota Baker at Bearded Thunder 1. So, what the hell does mouse in the house mean?
Got a mouse in the house, partner.
Famous Michael Cage saying, I think that it means just basically when a guy gets free under the basket and it's easy.
He's got a small guy on him. That's what happens. He's got a mouse in the house.
Is that what happens?
Yeah.
Oh.
He's got a mouse in the house.
Kind of like being in amongst the trees.
If you're like Mello,
At this
got
point,
a little small guy on you.
At
mouse in
this
the house.
point, I totally tune out the Thunder broadcast. Like, they're just talking, and I just don't even...
What was he talking about today? He said something about you can't take the girl to the dance.
I don't know. See, that's what I mean. I tune
and
it
I
out.
was like, what?
Yeah, he was trying to sell it. He was making this comparison of like the last few games they've just started off so well, and then
They don't take
Right,
the
and
girl
then
home
obviously
from the dance.
Toronto was great, and then the second half it was really poor. So it's like she was
Poor like his.
You didn't
know.
continue playing as well as you were in the first half. Is what he meant by that.
Step it up, Michael.
Yeah, he really should.
S and my H.
From Brandon, OKC 43 and 29, the Red Sox and and UNC lost tonight. So at
That's
Go
such
Red
a
Sox 635. How much did your heart rate go down during that game?
Damn.
The opposite of
It was
that.
way up.
Yeah, it was
I was
up.
about to stroke out.
I think this guy's confused.
Yeah, no.
If
it's-
this guy's one of the, like, so you know how Randy Foy has that...
The left side thing?
Yeah, his organs are on the... Maybe this guy has the, like, where...
Like when he gets excited, his
Yeah.
blood pressure
Starts
goes down,
exercising.
and he just passes out.
Yeah, it's the opposite. But that's a cool skill to have. Mine went way up.
Skill.
I was in the extreme fat burning zone.
my
heart
blood
rate.
my blood pressure was probably something like 500 over
That sounds deadly.
Yeah, you
over
should-
Sounds
over
like
be a doctor,
sounds
dude.
like
240.
sounds like the state needs to declare you dead.
Right.
You need to go see a doctor. You need to sign up for mywellnessperspective.com is what you need to do. Actually,
Got it.
they give us all free cards, so that's cool.
Yeah, you're already
Cool part
signed
of
up.
this
from there's a lot of W's. Whoa. At Winskill 1969. Was that the most exciting win of the season?
I wouldn't say the most exciting win of the season because I got to give those to those Golden State wins.
Yeah.
Those were a blast. I will say that this was one of the most, like, it felt,
Down to the wire.
yeah, it like probably one of the most feel-good wins.
In the situation,
Yeah.
every win is so important. Every game is so important right now. So you could make a case it is. But another one that was kind of similar to this was the Rockets on Christmas Day.
Yeah.
Down to the wire.
Oh, that was awesome.
Thunder pull it out.
From Adam at Adam CFC. Why is Felton so thick?
Cheeseburgers and shakes, baby.
Yep. Damn straight. From Evan McDeasy at Evan ETM. Huh. Are we good again?
It would
Maybe?
appear so.
It feels like
It would
it.
appear, what a bipolar team this is.
Yeah. It's very confusing.
From Jorge, a.k.a. Dopey, at Lucky Thunderhat. Ooh, cool. With Westbrook playing so focused and Brewers shooting so great from 3, do you prefer green salsa or red salsa on your tacos?
Great question.
The old Reddit switcheroo.
Yeah. Boom. Tricked you.
I'm actually switcherooing on him.
Okay.
No sauce. I don't like sauce on my tacos.
Just go dry.
Yeah, sour cream.
You're gonna like choke one day.
No, I like to taste my food and not have
You
salsa.
just got
on it.
ejected by Justin.
I just
I'm
tossed
fine
you.
with it.
I go red, but some places have really good green salsa, and then you want to put that on there too. But I like a lot of salt. I'll use both, to be honest.
To TBH.
Yeah.
I like both of them. Honestly, like red salsa is my preferred, but I do like. I mean, especially if you have a really really good salsa verde.
My stomach's growling from that.
I know, right?
From that whole thing right now. Next.
All right, from Jonathan Mitchell at John Mitchell 3. Where is Corey Brewer on the MVP ballot?
He's climbing.
It's number 1.
I was gonna
really.
ask, and I kind of forgot to bring it up earlier. At what point are we like this? Wait,
Is this real?
This is Corey Brewer. Like, he's not declined. This is who he is. Or
I mean, we saw a little bit of the Corey, as Rob said earlier in the thing. Corey came out because Brewer's the good version of him,
Right.
I guess, and Corey is the bad Corey. Because he had a couple botched layups and
I mean, it's gonna
little
happen.
weird problems
but he's
today.
knocking down corner threes
But yeah,
consistently.
you can't complain about him at all.
We'll see. We will see.
All right, moving on from Tanner Tate at Tanner Tate. I don't math. So how many boards does Russ need to average? How many boards does Russ need to average a triple-double on the season?
Oh, we should have done the math on this before.
I did.
Oh,
did.
good.
Yeah.
12.1 rebounds per game, and he will get it. So he's probably not going to
No.
get it.
Yeah.
But that's
But
okay.
He's going to be damn
He's
close
going to be real
again.
close.
Yep.
From Always and Forever Art at Always and Forever Art. Why hasn't Billy started running the bench with 1 or 2 of the 4 stars yet for chemistry purposes? We all know he isn't playing an all-bench lineup in the playoffs. I don't think it's smart to suddenly do that once the playoffs start.
Well, in my opinion, I don't think chemistry is as big of an issue in the playoffs. And I know that might sound like contrary to what most people believe, but your rotations shorten. I think that you will see these guys. I mean, first of all, your rotations do shorten, so you will see Paul George with the bench. You will see Russell Westbrook with the bench, so on and so forth. I think that if I were to guess, I think that Billy Donovan's idea here is that he's trying to just get these guys as much experience as he possibly can. Get them ready for the playoffs.
Right.
Find out who he can trust and who he can't.
Yeah, I mean,
And use all 82 games to do so.
for sure. And I mean, right now, with playing full bench lineups, you're doing just that. You're getting these guys where it's like, you guys have to do this. Like, it's on you. There's pressure on you to do it. And like today, when, I mean, the crowd was going crazy and the bench was all out there.
Yep.
I was like, oh God, can they deal with this? Like, I'm not sure. And it was nice to see them hold steady for a little bit. Like,
Yep.
they got destroyed by Toronto's bench.
They were okay in the second half.
But they were.
Yep.
And so I think he's just. And another thing is getting continuity with the starters. They're getting chemistry built while they're able to stay all out there together.
Yeah,
I think that's helpful.
And it's hard to say what kind of what does it do to the team behind the scenes, off the court. You know, when you show confidence in these guys by playing them game in and game out, not giving up on them, not saying I have to play Paul George
Right.
with you, I have to play Russell Westbrook with you, and you say
Yeah.
I'm going to trust you guys. Maybe it does wonders for the locker room. Does just sets a good overall.
Abrinas seems confident, so.
True.
I've got a thing in my throat. It
Oh,
hurts.
Deontay Pilot from YouTube. How do you feel about our chances in the playoffs after this current win streak?
I like it.
Good.
I mean,
It's so hard to tell.
It
I
is.
need more.
Agreed.
Like it's unfair. Probably. It's not unfair. It's actually completely fair. I just need a little more.
They haven't shown us consistency all year, so
Yep.
Yeah.
show us that.
Yep.
From Thunder fans at God is Spanish. I have seen a lot of guys pointing the defensive player of the year to Utah's Rudy Gobert. Wait. So what are PG's odds to win it this year?
Unfortunately, I don't think he's gonna win.
Yeah.
so too.
I mean, he was doing an incredible job. His numbers have kind of fallen off a little bit.
And the Thunder's team numbers have
Right.
fallen
Yeah.
off.
Like when you watch without Andre, how steeply they fell. And then a bunch of people are talking about Embiid too. So I'm with you. I don't think he's going to get him.
We got two that are pretty similar from Johnny C and Nick Eccles. That's Johnny C and Neckles 87. Do we want to face Houston or Golden State in the second round?
Here we go. We're here, guys.
I almost want to say Golden State. It would feel great.
Really?
Great to beat
it'd
them.
feel great.
But I don't know if it's more likely, though.
Well, I guess it's one of those things because I feel like if you can get to the Western Conference Finals, whichever team that you don't knock out in that second round is going to be playing really good basketball. They're going to be hot. They've gone through 2 rounds to really gel. So you're getting the worst case scenario of either team, unless one of them gets worn down. So it's really hard to tell.
It's tough for me to go against Golden State because they've been in the finals 3 years in a row. They've won 2 of them. You just like that team.
They're like an all-time great team.
Just because they're not healthy right now. If they're healthy, then I want no part of them.
And Chris Paul and James Harden never gotten out of the second round. They're gonna melt down.
That's what I was about to say. Is that it would be poetic justice. Keep Chris Paul out of the Western Conference Finals.
God, that would feel
and
so
then,
good.
And then get all of your revenge against Golden State
in the Western Conference
Finals.
I'll take Houston. I'd rather play Houston.
Go.
Take my chances. It sucks not having Robertson in that, but
yeah, sure would.
All right, from Thunder Radar at Thunder Radar. Don't yell at me. I swear I'm one of the biggest Andre Robertson fans you'll find. His defense is clearly incredible, and I love watching him go to work at that end. But after watching Brewer, is he a better fit for OKC's starting lineup? I believe that Andre is a better player individually, but I also feel like Brewer is much better as a starter than a bench player for this team. Thoughts?
I can't go there. I can't go there. I can understand if you want to by saying that he's a better offensive player, but I think that what Robertson does night in and night out on the defensive end can't be replaced.
Yeah.
You see, he improves Russell Westbrook defensively, improves Paul George defensively, and it makes it easier on those guys on the other end in turn.
Yeah, and you have one of the best defenders in the league. Like, have him out there.
Yeah, and who would you rather have coming off your bench, Brewer or Robertson? I'd rather have Brewer.
Yeah, because Dre's not helping you that much off the bench.
Yeah, you need him.
Brewer
need him on your best. Like right now, so you had Brewer guarding DeMar DeRozan to start this game, and maybe you have him guarding James Harden, but maybe by game 3, you probably don't have Brewer guarding James Harden. It might be Paul George guarding James Harden because you're like, he's just not as good. Whereas Robertson is guarding James Harden games 1 through 7.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Agreed.
I think that you just
and
what he does.
He can do that without fouling him.
Yes.
Brewer,
which is huge.
Doesn't have that.
Huge.
Yep.
And from Guise9 at NE3, are the Thunder going to the Western Conference Finals if CB3, Corey Brewer, the man, continues to keep this kind of production up throughout the rest of the season and into the playoffs? I know he doesn't completely replace Robs, but it completely stopped the bleeding, and what he lacks defensively, he makes up offensively.
I can't go there yet. I need more.
Yeah.
I need more. There's some things you need some breaks, right? Mm-hmm. You got to have breaks in this league to get, except for Golden State because they're so stacked. Mm-hmm. You need some breaks. So the Thunder might need a beat up Golden State team. They might need the refs to swallow their whistles a little bit when you play the Rockets. At some point, we gotta get
some type of luck.
Something, right?
I
You're
hope
due.
so.
You're due.
All right.
Let's get to some notes.
Please hold.
I don't want to hold.
Just kidding.
Notes! All right. Russell Westbrook and his Why Not Foundation opened another Russell's Reading Room at Thelma Parks Elementary in Oklahoma City, and they announced 9 more reading rooms to be opened in Oklahoma City.
What a guy.
Yeah. That's now 39 schools with Russell's Reading Rooms opened by the Why Not Foundation.
Kind of regret not being in school during this time.
Just want him coming. That would be cool. That would
neat.
be awesome,
yeah,
right?
Would have been real neat.
To be a child and Russ just comes walking in there.
Instead, nobody ever came walking in, Just,
I know.
Oh, sorry. Dark and
well, that was depressing.
That's what I do.
That was a dark and stormyism.
That's what I do.
Yeah. Since entering the league in 2008 and 2009, Russell Westbrook has more than twice as many triple-doubles as any other franchise. He also has more than 23 of the other 29 active franchises do all time.
What?
Yeah.
Okay.
Russell Westbrook has 102 triple-doubles. The Cavs have 45. The Rockets have 42. Warriors 35. Celtics 32. Russell Westbrook is we have so many Russell Westbrook notes, by the way. He's only the 3rd player with 20 or more triple-doubles in consecutive seasons, joining Wilt Chamberlain and Oscar Robertson, who had 5 straight seasons of such. Russell Westbrook surpassed 6,000 career assists today.
Indeed.
Per Brett Dawson, our buddy Brett Dawson, Raptors were 43-1 this season when leading after 3 quarters. They led 98. 97 entering the fourth quarter today, and they got their second loss.
Not today.
Not
Raptors.
today. Russell Westbrook has recorded a triple-double for the 5th straight game. Oscar Robertson is the only other player with 3 career streaks of 5 straight triple-doubles. Once again, this guy just continues to do it. Carmelo Anthony passed Reggie Miller and Rick Barry for 19th on the NBA's all-time scoring list.
Take that, Reggie.
Man, 19th? Like, that's crazy.
Great. That's nuts.
That's so cool. I mean, he's been such an elite scorer his entire career. It's funny, like, looking at his career stats. Every year, over 20 a game, except for this year. It all ends this year.
It all came crashing down.
The Thunder improved to 5-2 against the Raptors, Rockets, and Warriors with today's win. That's the best record and most wins against those teams of any squad in the entire NBA.
Whew.
I don't know what that means.
It's good.
But it's good. And bracket challenge update. Let's see who's in the lead. What do you say?
It's not me, I can tell you that
It's
much.
definitely
I
not
bet
me.
no one had UMBC upsetting UVA.
Right?
Hoops, there it is by Christy Weaver. In number 1, number 2, or tied for number 1 is Russell Westbrook 2. But
Russell Westbrook.
they have Virginia winning and all. You're out.
You done, son?
And then we have a bunch of people tied for 3rd. We'll put the ones that actually have a chance of winning because they have Kansas winning and all. Jay Glizzy 2. That's Jay Glizzy 07. And Jin Bake 11, whose username is ESPN05111976.
Oh,
None of them have UNC winning it all, right?
They do not.
Okay, good, because they lost.
Ooh.
Yep.
They got their asses handed
We
to
got
them.
a Duke and 2 Kansases
All
in
right.
that top 5. All right, so up next on Tuesday, the Thunder go to Boston. 0-1 versus Boston this year. If you guys remember, earlier in the year, the Thunder were up 55-37 at halftime and let Boston come back and win. That was a
I was in LA watching that game, and it was a real disappointment on my vacation.
brutal loss. And then you get 2 full days off. You got Miami at home, yet to play Miami this season. Then on Sunday, you got Portland at home, yet to beat Portland this season. 0-3. So 0-4 combined versus these teams. Haven't beat any of them.
And we're
Jason.
starting over.
Jason, you're down to 1. No,
Oh, I'm down to 1?
you're down to 1.
Oh,
You're not over
I
yet.
didn't know if I still had that point with me.
Justin's at 4, Rob's at 4, I am at 3. What you got this week?
All
Boston,
right.
Miami.
Well,
Portland.
actually, not going first. Old Robert Larson checking in from dinner
All right.
at Applebee's.
Oh no.
He said not really. But sign me up for 2-1 this week. Losses at Boston. Definitely going to beat Portland at home, he says. So I'm actually going to go 3-0.
Woo!
They continue the streak.
What you got, Justin?
Choo choo 3-0.
Yeah!
Let's do it.
I'm going 3-0.
I'm trained. Oh,
Oh, I'm so pumped.
I got hot.
This 9-game win streak's gonna be awesome.
Ooh, that's going to feel good.
Oh, that 3 seed's gonna feel good.
Yeah, well.
Ooh. All right, guys. Thanks for listening. Follow us on Twitter at OKC Thunderheads. Justin's over at Thunder Tie. Subscribe on YouTube. We do these pods every single time live on YouTube. Or you can watch them after the fact, too. That's cool, too. Subscribe on iTunes. Rate and review if you'd be so kind. It really helps us out a lot. Go to mywellnessperspective.com. Check them out. Big thanks to our
Sign
new
up.
sponsor.
Tell them we sent you.
Really excited. You can check us on Spotify, Facebook, SoundCloud, Google Play. Anywhere you find podcasts, we are there. We will be back on... What is our schedule this week?
I don't know. I haven't even looked at it.
Let
I
me
just
look-
show up.
Let me pull it up.
I actually just sit outside your house all the time, and I'm like waiting for you to text and say, "Hey, pod today."
I flicker the light.
Yeah.
And you come walking
Okay.
in. All right, yeah. So the Thunder have Boston on Tuesday, and then we will be back for a pod on Wednesday. We got a solo pod scheduled, an aftershock scheduled for Friday after the Heat game, and our full pod will be after that. So until then, and as always, Thunder up.
You didn't wave.
I did.
Okay. I didn't see you waving. You're behind me.
Wave harder.